Carl Jung once wrote, "The cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek." And it got me thinking about our relationship to creativity and how it's important to understand that any creative act or idea, whether you're a painter, a writer, an entrepreneur, a musician, or a student, if you're anything like me, that is, it usually comes with a wave of anxiety and restlessness. And I think that is because whatever creative task you are working on at the beginning, you don't have all the answers to yet. You know? All you have is a little spark of an idea laid out on a piece of canvas or on a notepad somewhere, or maybe on a little iPhone recording in your voice notes. And you're eager and restless to figure it all out and come up with a finished product. Just like a chess game or a puzzle. I think, in my experience, creative people are especially used to this feeling. I call it the invisible pull. The invisible pull. Because it's always there, just beneath the surface. Stephen Pressfield, in his book The War of Art, talks about how when you experience this anxiety, it's an important indicator signaling to you that you must sit down and channel it into your creative work. And he expands on this by writing, "The more scared we are of a work or calling, the more sure we can be that we have to do it." And I can really relate to this, guys, as I often find whenever I sit down to work on an idea, there is usually this kind of resistance, a fear that maybe I shouldn't try today. And the thing is with resistance is it can be contumacious, right? Stubborn, basically. But really all it really is at the core is just me being scared to fail or to make something that turns out to not be very good. This anxiousness, excitement, and doubt can sometimes frustrate and stifle some creative people. I'm very guilty of this, where instead of sitting at the blank page and allowing themselves to channel this energy, they will instead choose to short circuit the process by either giving up on an idea before trying to really figure it out, or they may just choose to finish a less fully realized version of the idea. I've seen this happen with musicians in the studio, and I've seen it happen with entrepreneurs working on a new business idea too. However, patience and trust in the process will allow you to overcome this feeling, I believe. And I'm not saying it always works, but I think just being mindful of it helps break through these walls and limitations that can sometimes take us down. You know? This is why when I advise starting your day with 10 minutes or so of writing, it's so important because it enables you to free yourself from the pressures of trying to make something. If you're doing it as a daily practice, then you might find a lot of the ideas that arrive are kind of already on the page. You just may need to dial in and pay closer attention to the details, zooming in on things, you're also not then trying to expect outcomes or results from your work. You're just doing the thing, like second nature, or like running water from a tap. It's just flowing. Therefore, making ideas feel more like play and less like work, if that makes sense. This approach has honestly helped me out a lot, guys, because I am somebody, especially when it comes to making music, my imagination gets very attached to outcomes. This desire for something to always be great. But you can free yourself from this through consistency of your craft. It's also good to remind ourselves that at the end of the day, art isn't about perfection. It's about expressing authenticity and truth, and to share your unique perspective on something. Right? So start messy, basically, and fine tune it and let your creativity develop as you go. It doesn't matter. It's all connected, guys. I've said this before. Expanding your lens is another way you will be more creative. And what I mean by this is it could look like taking a trip to a new place you haven't explored, immersing yourself in a completely different culture where you might also meet some new people as well that think differently to you. Going to an art exhibition, or listening to music, or reading a really good book. That's also another way. I mean, I'll say this. I will honestly, guys, I will sometimes go to the Tate Gallery on South Bank by myself, late at night, when the crowds have dissipated and barely anybody is there. And I'll just simply marvel at the paintings hanging on the walls before me. And then I'll just slowly start making my way through the different galleries filled with sculptures, installations, and paintings, purely just to see and wait to see if it triggers or sparks anything in me, which will later lead to a new creative idea. It's honestly something I did a lot around the London musicians. It's something I've done a lot around the various London museums and the galleries, especially when I first moved to London and I had zero money. So, who says the best things in life aren't free, right? There's one right there for you. One of the beauties of living in London, actually, to this day, is that you have all this art and all this creativity at the end of your fingertips and at your doorstep for free. So make sure you use it, guys, if you're in a major city like London. But this brings me to also, for the past 3 summers, I've visited a very good friend of mine that lives in Finland. And we met years ago when I first moved to London. We kind of met at these prestigious private art events. where we were both just these posh-looking champagne and wine waiters, and we were in a nice shirt and tie, and we're basically just kind of walk around these private parties. Some of them were hosted in these art galleries after close and at dark. And we'd just serve people champagne and wine, just getting them drunk. Again, another experience that did help yield creative ideas when I was young and broke and looking for source material, let's say. But we met then years ago, and we've always stayed connected and stayed in contact to the point where he's now become one of those friends where we may not speak for weeks or months, but then when we do pick up the phone and have a call together, it's literally like we spoke yesterday. You know? It's one of those friendships. And I'm very thankful for that we've managed to stay friends all this time. But basically, he is from Finland originally. He's Finnish, but he lived over in the UK in London for a while, where we got good friends. But now he's back in Finland, and for the past 3 summers, I've gone there to visit him. And from early June until the end of August, the sun in Finland barely sets. They call it the polar sun, which is a result of Finland's position high in the northern hemisphere. But the reason I'm telling you this is because this is another example of when, as a creator, it's good to drop yourself into new and different environments. Because I do honestly feel that the effect goes far beyond geography for me. Like there's an energy I feel there which is hard to describe, but one which brings a sense of space, peace, and purity. And because Finland sits within the Arctic Circle, the air itself definitely feels cleaner and purer and quieter. Whether that's scientifically true or not, for me, it changes the physiology of the way I breathe, think, feel, and exist. And because of this, I think is the reason that on my last visit to Finland, a new song just kind of fell out of the sky and landed, which ended up being called Finn. I'll drop a link to it in the description below if anybody is interested in hearing it. But the aim of sharing all of this with you today, guys, is because if you're watching this right now and find yourself struggling to relax or focus, and your nervous system feels like it's constantly in fight or flight, even after you've tried the things I've just discussed, or you have your own routine which you feel is helping you stay regulated. There's something I want you to try after this video, if you will, which is you switch your phone off 1 hour before bed tonight. You switch your phone off 1 hour before bed tonight. You go and take a half an hour walk outside without the phone and let your eyes see darkness, as this signals to your body that it's nighttime, therefore enabling your body to release melatonin, which also then helps you set your circadian clock for sleep. While on the walk, you take some deep breaths. Try inhaling for 6, hold for 3, and exhale for 6. And repeat this for 60 seconds. So you inhale for 6, hold for 3, and exhale for 6. Allowing you to then breathe in the fresh air surrounding you. And you feel the ground beneath your feet. This will help to recenter you. When you get home, drop 400 milligrams of pure magnesium glycinate 1 hour before bed. I've dropped a link to a high quality Nordic Finnish brand that I use in the description below, which, by the way, I'm not affiliated. I don't have any endorsements or sponsorships or anything like that with the brand. It's just a brand I've researched heavily. I've done a lot of due diligence on them. They're a very, very respected brand, and they do lots of third party testing, and the quality of their magnesium is really, really good. And this powerful supplement helps regulate your nervous system and improves the quality and the depth of your sleep. So do that. And then finally, when you wake up in the morning tomorrow, your phone should still be off for the first hour of your day. So you wake up, you drink some water, followed by your coffee. You get 10 minutes of morning sunlight, and you then spend the day only eating whole foods, right? Things like good quality meat, good quality protein meat, and green vegetables and fruits. No sugary snacks or processed foods. So by the time tomorrow evening rolls around, you should find your nervous system has been reset and your mind and body is ready to start receiving creative ideas again, and for you to start implementing them and utilizing them in your craft. Sorry guys, I'm kind of tripping on my words today, but yeah, do that stuff. Just do what I just said, because that's all it takes, guys. Just 24 hours of you. If you do what I just laid out, you should find yourself feeling a lot better and ready to create. Anyways, I want to leave you today by just dropping a little list of cool things I've been vibing lately and things keeping me inspired in terms of TV shows, music, films, podcasts, and literature. Remember when we discussed before, guys? This stuff is your information. The stuff that gets filtered down and funneled into your ideas. So these things are very important. Anyways, the first one, number 1, Your Friends and Neighbors, season 2. I mean, I really can't say enough about this show, guys, honestly. It really is epic. But just to give you a little bit of a breakdown and a synopsis, Your Friends and Neighbors centers around this main character, Andrew Coop, played by John Hamm, who, after losing his high-powered job in finance and getting a divorce, finds himself completely broke and just drifting aimlessly through his life. So in order to be able to keep funding his lifestyle and support his family, he starts breaking into the giant field homes of his wealthy peers in his neighborhood to steal high-end goods like watches and art and paintings and shit like that. But he quickly starts to get a real rush and a real trip and sense of excitement from doing this. And it's basically about the consequences that come with that and how it winds up affecting the people he loves around him, like his family and his friends. Like, really, guys, it really is an epic show, and it also does a really awesome job of tapping into the zeitgeist of today's culture. Not only with Gen Z and everything like that, but also just the contemporary nature of things. So yeah, I highly recommend. Number 2, the Joe Rogan Experience podcast. Anyone that knows me knows I've been listening to the Joe Rogan Experience along with a bunch of other podcasts now for about 10 years. But this particular episode features the particular episode I want you guys to check out, which I've had on repeat now for about a month, is the episode that features the guest David Paulides. And David Paulides, for anyone that's not familiar, he's basically this investigator that used to work for the police out in the US. But he left the police force in I think like the early 90s or something, or the mid 90s. And then he started writing and kind of doing his own little investigations. But he basically gets caught up in trying to find out where the disappearance of countless people were vanishing. So in certain parts of the US, like in these nature parks and these dense forests where people go out hunting and camping and just like on hikes and stuff like that, these people were just vanishing. And the police force and investigators, they couldn't give an explanation as to where these people went, because the circumstances and the evidence that surrounded these missing people was very, very odd and strange. And basically, in this Joe Rogan podcast episode, they dive deep for 3 hours on all the details of the cases of these missing people in these parks and nature spaces out in the US. So yeah, it's absolutely wild, guys. Like, I could not stop obsessing about the details of these missing people and re-listening to the stories that David Paulides shares in the episode with Joe Rogan. Which nicely leads me into number 3, which is the book that David Paulides wrote about these missing people that went hiking and hunting and camping out in these nature parks. He wrote a book called The Missing 411, which I have here. You can buy this on Amazon or on certain publishing book websites for about £20, mine cost. And it is, honestly, guys, it is bananas what is laid out and uncovered in this book about these missing people. But yeah, highly recommend that. The Missing 411 by David Paulides. I can't put it down. So number 4 is music. Number 4 and 5 are music recommendations. You don't have to check these out, obviously, but they're there if you want them. The first one is a song called Fire for You by Cannons. You have the original version, which is this kind of R&B electronic dance song, but it's kind of like a mid down tempo song. You also have the remix version, which features Tiesto. And it's just a great song, basically, to get you in the mood for this epic summer weather we're having. It just gets you amped up to be out in the sun and just go to the beach or just crack open a drink or something like that. It puts you in a really good mood. So I highly recommend that. And the last one, the fifth one, is a song by the English electronic musician Max Cooper. And the song is called Window on the Cosmos. Window on the Cosmos. And it's basically just this 3-minute electronic, atmospheric, ambient wall of sound, basically. You've just got all these different electronic synthesizers stacked and layered up on top of each other, creating this epic wall of sound. This kind of this epic noise of sound and shit like that. Anyways, but they're my recommendation, guys. Saying that, please drop a comment in the link below to anything you feel I should be checking out at the moment. I'm always looking for cool new things to entertain me or to get me inspired to create and just have a really good day. And always remember, guys, all you need is a little spark to ignite a fire. Peace.